So just so everyone is aware, we are recording this session. This session and ongoing sessions will record. So in case you are to miss something, you are able to access it on my website. I'll put some notes with the video and any other tools and things like that that we talk about, so it'll be easily accessible. But obviously, if you do join, we can have a better conversation. So I recommend that if you have the time, please join us and obviously help each other out. So let's get started. My name is Mo Hossain. I am the founder and owner of Data Up, where we focus on various things around technology for small businesses, as well as website design, as well as optimization and analytics. So the reason I started this group is to talk about small business technology and help each other out. So, obviously you guys will look at different tools and you'll use them, and potentially that could be useful for me or other people on the call. So we'll kind of do a 5 to 10 minute session of specific topics every week and talk about what that is and kind of see if we can learn something from that. So that's the goal of this call, and we're not going to focus on anything on sales or anything like that. Obviously, if you're here and if someone wants to take advantage and network with you, that'd be great, and we always welcome that. So today we have a special guest. Casey will be talking about Shopify, and we will get a quick intro on what Shopify is and how to kind of get started and what are some of the sort of pitfalls and things like that that you need to be aware of. So we'll have a conversation around that, and then once we finish that section, then we'll open it up for questions. So please mute yourself, and then we will get you guys involved. So Casey actually used to be a scientist before, and now is focusing on triathlete coaching and also a marketing business. So she focuses on SEO. She's an expert on conversion optimization, and she also has a lot of expertise on Shopify. So Casey, if you want to just give a quick intro about yourself, if you'd like, and get started, that'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm also gonna, while I've got this, I'm just gonna pop this Google Doc in the chat about Shopify. I'm gonna kind of go through that when I talk. Do you just want me to do a quick intro now, or you want me to do the whole Shopify thing now?
You can do it.
Okay, yeah, so I have experience with setting up Shopify stores, email automation, Google Analytics, not as awesome as Mo with analytics, but really enjoy numbers, and looking to also do a StoryBrand certification within the next few months, which is really terrific for learning how to clarify your message. So I'm eager to share that with people when I get that taken care of. So that's quick about me.
Okay. So you want to get started on your Shopify chat?
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna walk through a few things. If you guys want to unmute really quick, or just give me one of those little hand signals that you can do on Zoom here. I'm curious if anyone is here specifically to hear about Shopify, if this is a active area of interest for you from just giving a general intro. Okay. All right, Chastity.
I think we talked
great.
about last week. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what I'm going to show you is two different sites. One is one that I've been working with a client for a year, and I don't want to show a ton of that back office, so I also built a new site that's not really built out as just as a trial to show you all that stuff. So Shopify has been around for about 15 years. It now is about 20% of online e-commerce stores. So once you've seen a few of the themes here, you start to recognize them when you go around and shop in different places around the web. So Shopify is very popular. It's extremely easy to use. I don't have a lot of experience with WordPress, but this strikes me as extremely intuitive to use to set up a site. Obviously, you can make something that looks pretty good. It may not be super functional in terms of actually getting conversion, but it is easy to make a site that looks pretty. So I am not a designer by any stretch of the imagination. And with just a couple of pictures that I took myself and one guy that I hired, I can make this look reasonably good. So this is an example of a functional home page. So the home page has the most little widgets that you can use. Like this one is linking to a bunch of different collections. This one is going to scroll different testimonials. You can link out to things. So for instance, this, if you hit I want a free cap, this is going to take you to a MailChimp opt-in page so that you join our email list, and it gives you a discount code for a free cap on your next purchase. It does have things like what they call pages and blogs. So if we just go to the kind of top level navigation here, a lot of these are collections of different products. So you can sort here by a few different things and just see the different products that I have either sorted automatically or told it manually I want them to be in here. And then there's also pages. So for example, you know, the snake and pig. So this is a very simple page. These don't have widgets. So you can put text and pictures and videos and things like that, but it doesn't have a lot of, you can't put a lot of fancy stuff in here. And then it also has blog pages, and they're also very simple. So it has a header image, your typical H1 through whatever tags and all that stuff. But it doesn't have a lot. If you're used to WordPress, this is not super fancy. But the homepage does have a lot of things you can do. So I'm going to show you. There's two parts to the back office in Shopify. And this is the main part here where you see your orders, all of your products that you have in your store. It will track your inventory for you. You can tell it if you want it to continue selling even after you're out of stock. There's a lot of detail you can put in for each product, all the different things about it, the price, margin, the SKUs, blah, blah, blah. You can have it sort by, size and color or whatever. So it's pretty good. And then it gives you a little look at what the blurb on Google would look like. It doesn't really tell you what to do with this, but it does at least show you what the initial bit of SEO might look like. So that's kind of what a product looks like. And then you can see all your customers. It does have really nice analytics, which this is not a functional account, so you're not really going to see anything. But if you're not really a Google Analytics person, you can actually see a fair amount of good stuff here. Like you can tell if people are coming to your site from Facebook and if those Facebook people are actually buying, if that's a useful channel for you. Mm-hmm. You can see if they're coming from search and if those people are buying. You obviously can drill down a lot more in Google Analytics, but this is fairly powerful. You can set up lots of discounts, and then just like any good thing in the 21st century, there are a billion apps. So there's tons of people building apps for Shopify. Some of them are free, some of them have a free trial, and then you pay. So if there is anything in the world that you can think of that you'd want to do on an e-commerce store, there's probably 5 apps that do that. So there's a lot of different ways you can functionalize your store. And then the store itself, there's the pages and the blog posts, setting up your menus, and then you can customize your theme. So that's the other main part of the back office, which I'll just show really quickly. So this is just the home page. So you can change everything about all of these little areas. So if I want to change this image with text, I just click here, and then I select the image. I change it, if I want to change it to the right side, I can do that. And then change up, this, what's this going to say? Change the text. And then usually these things you can add a button, and it could link to a collection, it could link to a blog post, all these different things. You can remove the section, you can add sections. So this is very easy to modify, and if you put something in and you're like, nah, I'm not sure I want to have that in there, you can just hide it instead of deleting it so that later you could add it back, and that's very simple to do. So in terms of building out a nice homepage, you need to know what you want to put here, what you want to say to people, but there are a lot of these little widgets. So these are all, different things that you can put. You can have a featured collection, and then it would show all the things that are in that collection. You can show a specific product. There's, it's I wouldn't say it's probably as powerful as, say, Elementor or some WordPress building thing, but it's pretty good, and there's a wide variety of sections you can add.
Just to
You can-
clarify on the collections, Casey, it would be a
yeah,
set of products, correct? So like pants would be a
yes,
collection, right?
correct. And
Okay.
you could set it as a totally manual one that you just made up, like these are
Mm.
all the ones that are on sale this week. Or you
Okay.
could have it just sort by tags that you've added to each product so that it's updating by itself.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. So you can do a 14-day free trial. You can even sell things during the free trial. You don't have to just be building during that time. And then the most basic plan is $30 a month. They do give better price breaks on shipping and credit card processing fees and stuff like that as you go up through the levels. But you know, if you're not selling a ton of stuff, $30 is pretty powerful. There are about I think 6 free themes, and there's tons of other themes. And as far as I know, it's just like in WordPress where you buy a theme and then you just own it. Like you're not paying rent on it every month. So that's a pretty nominal fee to mess around with those themes. But you know and I think if you hire someone who's really good with Shopify themes, they can of course build you a custom one. They could customize the one that you're using. The pages and the blog pages and the product pages are all going to become much more customizable, like the homepage in the near future. They had a big meeting about a month ago and said that's going to be one of the things that's released this year. So there will be more functionality here, which is great. We have a pretty cheap theme that we're using for Snake and Pig, and the product pages are very simple at the moment. So right now, if you get a free theme, you're not going to see a lot of things that you can do. They're all different. Like every theme doesn't look like this on the product page, but that's kind of it. Like there aren't really, like I can't add more under here or have another one column section at the bottom or something like that. And then these pictures kind of look weird. So some other themes look better. This just happens to be the one that we picked. So um, you definitely want to pick the right theme for you and maybe play around with it a little bit before you build it way out to make sure it looks like you want your store to look. Any questions? I kind of went through this fast, but I wanted to keep it to 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Casey. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. So the folks on the call, if you have any questions, obviously put it on the chat, or you can also unmute yourself and ask away.
Hey, Casey, do you have a payment option built in within Shopify platform?
Say again?
Do you have a payment option within
Payment
Shopify?
options.
Or do we have to integrate with a third party?
Yeah, there's a lot. So I'm gonna leave this, come back and just show you at the bottom. I think we can view the store. And down in the footer, it shows you all the options. So I think you can see this here. All the payment options.
We're not seeing your screen anymore, by the way.
Oh, right. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Share the screen. So as far as people coming to the store, how they pay, they can take almost anything. PayPal is the way we get a lot of our payments. They have their own thing they call Shop Pay, and then all these other things. So they can take pretty much anything.
Okay.
And as far as you paying them, I'm not really involved with that part since I don't own the store, but I imagine you can pay. He doesn't actually have a credit card for his business, so he's probably paying through PayPal. I mean, he doesn't have a credit card, so he uses PayPal or his bank account. So it may be direct depositing to his bank account, and it does deposit every day. So they're not holding on to everything until the end of the month. You're getting your earnings as they come in.
Yeah, because the only thing, that's great. I mean, the only thing I wanted to ask you is if we are integrating any third-party options within Shopify, I mean, is there any additional charges that Shopify charges, or
third party such as?
It's PayPal or Square or anything for that matter?
Yeah, all of those are already built in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just so we're clarifying the payment option, generally, even though you have an integration, so let's say Shopify will have an integration to PayPal or whatever other option you want to use, Square, and there's various other ones. But the the point is when you make a payment or request a payment from one of those specific integrators, that is where the payment comes in. So a lot of cases, for example, I get credit card payments from clients. If someone's paying me with a credit card, I have to pay, or me or the client has to pay about 3% of the total amount. So that is something that we need to be aware of when we're setting this up. So that's usually the only thing. PayPal business section of the PayPal is how usually like eBay, for example, works. There is a portion of the money that you have to pay. But it has some benefits. You get some sort of e-commerce features, so to say. So it's a little bit of warranty and guarantee, that kind of stuff. So you're not just handing money and just going somewhere, never to be seen again. So just to be aware, there are some of those extra payments that you may need to be clearing before you set one up.
Yeah, it's about 3%, like you said.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Chastity, I know you were interested in getting sort of an intro into Shopify. Do you feel like that was something you got something valuable out of? Do you have any questions around what else you might be interested in doing?
Sorry, I was gonna type, but that was taking too long. I'm interested in either Shopify and WordPress. I just don't know with WordPress if I would be able to, like, set up an e-commerce within, I guess, the website, or am I able to like link out to like, have a page within WordPress to say, hey, visit my store at like Shopify or something.
Yeah, I mean, you could link directly to Shopify from, say, a header link. It could just say store at the top of your website, and it could link to a separate site on Shopify. You can obviously build your entire site inside of Shopify, like we did with the Goggle store, but it could be something on the side, in which case you wouldn't even have to buy like a special domain name or anything. And you could just use the domain name that they give you, which says it has Shopify in it, but it doesn't really matter because you're linking to it from your main site. So that's totally an option. But you will have to pay the $30 a month for your store to live over there. Okay.
Any other questions, Chastity?
No, that's all. Like I said, I'm just trying to figure out, because I've also looked at GoDaddy's e-commerce as well. So just trying to figure out which one would be like the best option to link with like WordPress.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So I have some questions for you, Casey, and some clarifying things. Oh, Bobby has a question.
Bobby has one.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
So I'm very, very new to the e-commerce component in regards to trying to incorporate it into a business. I utilize a platform called Mobilize for my website. Most familiar with that. And so I'm trying to figure out the best e-commerce component to perhaps put on the website through Mobilize, although Mobilize is not the easiest platform to use to adding that. So part of the motivation for joining this talk, so Mo, thank you so much for having this, and Casey, thank you so much for sharing. I am novice and just trying to figure out, are you familiar with Mobilize as a platform, and could I do like a plug for it to be my place where I sell products?
Yeah, so I can take that unless you want to take it, Casey.
Great. No, it seems like you have more experience with what she's talking about.
Yeah. So the question, Bobby, that you just asked and Chastity just asked, they're actually essentially the same question. Okay. So it doesn't really matter where you have your platform. So for example, you're using a website building tool, Mobilize, which for everyone else's information, it's basically where you can have HTML and CSS kind of put into sort of boxes and it'll build out a page for you. It's very similar to a Shopify, for example, but you don't get all the sort of bells and whistles that you get with Shopify, for example. It's very static. So what happens is you can build out your page or your site entirely on Mobilize or even WordPress, as Chastity was kind of alluding to. So once you have that, what you can do is have a little button or link that will essentially go to your Shopify page. And there are ways to sort of internalize your Shopify store into your own page that you have on your, for example, WordPress or Mobilize, whatever you call it. There are technical ways to do it. Just for reference, it's something called a iframe, frame set. That's technical stuff, but basically that's how you can pull that in. So that is how you can essentially link one site to another, or one site to a product page, or store, if you have a lot of things going on. The caution there, though, for both you and Chastity will be, I wouldn't recommend that, because there are a lot of hindrance that come with that. So basically what you're going to experience is issues around SEO. So search engine optimization, it's a 2-a-day conversation, but on a short 2-minute summary, basically what will happen is your Shopify store has certain content in it, let's say the products, and Google will look at those products and say, okay, so this store, let's say Chastity's, I forgot what your product, yes, Chastity, I'm sorry, but let's say Bobby, for you, it could be some products that you're selling for your event management company, right? So what'll happen is you have the Shopify store where Google or other search engines are going to say, okay, so we have all these products here, and this is associated with this URL, this store, this name, brand. Whereas if you have the WordPress somewhere else, Chastity, what will happen is, okay, so this WordPress is this brand, this store, et cetera, et cetera. You can try to link them together, but it'll essentially be like half-half effort. So at the end of the day, the connection may not be as good. So when you're trying to rank on the top of Google, for example, when someone searches for the XYZ thing that you're selling, that is the issue. Then your static information isn't going to be linked to your product information, and so you're not going to come up as high on that list. So obviously that's going to be a big hindrance, especially if you're trying to do any online type of selling. So can you do that? Yes, certainly you can. Would I recommend it? No, because that will have not only SEO issues, but well, not issues, but hindrance really, along with various other things that just you're paying for 2 platforms and managing and all that kind of stuff is a headache. So to go back to your point, Chastity, you can do it, but I would recommend, for example, if you are interested in setting up a Shopify store, just do everything in Shopify. It's going to be somewhat limited, but it's going to be better than having a WordPress and a Shopify. So that's a good segue into the other platforms that exist within our ecosystem. I'm not going to talk about sort of the Mobilize and other tools like that. There are tons of them, but the focus for us today was Shopify. So there are other similar products or services like there are something called Squarespace. There's also something called Wix. They all have different functionalities for each one of them. So, for example, Squarespace and Shopify, they're sort of head-to-head. Wix is more of a personal sort of website, but Squarespace, for example, was doing more personal work, personal website stuff, whereas Shopify started as a website that will have a shop, and that was sort of the core. So over time, they both are sort of merging into each other. Whereas there are specific functionalities into Squarespace that will have more design-friendly options, where obviously, as Casey mentioned, Shopify is also trying to go that way. So it's kind of sort of a rivalry, and they're trying to do different things. So if you are looking for something like a Shopify, also look at Squarespace and see if that could be a good fit for you. But the point at the end of the day is, when you're starting, make sure you choose a template that looks like the one that you want. Even if you have to pay $200 or $500 or something for it, you will be better off versus spending hours and hours and hours trying to make that one change that you want to have a button somewhere on a product page, for example. Casey was saying that there's some limitations there. So that's what it is. WordPress is sort of on a different level outside of all these. There's a lot more effort that you have to put in for WordPress, and if you are not willing to keep up with the technical sort of things that happen, like you have to really update WordPress every month or really every week if you want to stay safe. But there's a lot of other things that Shopify and Squarespace take care of for you that WordPress generally don't. There are ways to do that, but you want to really be careful about what you do on WordPress. So especially if you're doing e-commerce, because when there's money exchange, it's a really big security problem. So we're not going to get too much into that, but if you're just starting out, well, I recommend, as Casey showed us today, Shopify is a good platform to start with. You can also look at Squarespace, very good. And WordPress would be like if you're wanting to hire a designer or developer to kind of manage it for you on a regular basis. That would be a good place. So that is really the platforms that we're talking about. In terms of products, I had a question for you, Casey. The different levels you have on Shopify, is there certain amounts of products that you can sell? Is there like a limitation that they'll make you kind of go update or anything, or level up or anything like that? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're still muted. Okay.
Sorry, I was just trying to pull up the Shopify page again. I looked at that briefly. Advanced features, more locations, more staff accounts, reports, report builder. It's mostly the shipping rates,
Okay.
and the credit card stuff. That's the big change, I think. So yeah, and then there's Shopify Plus for if you're huge, but that's probably the volume on your site more than anything. I think you can have as many products as you want. They're all unlimited products.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, does anyone else to answer your question, Bobby? I will put that for this recording on so you can review it. So, does anyone else have any other questions?
So I had a question.
Sure.
So I've been seeing this. There is a Shopify and there's a Shopify Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference? I mean, in terms of features or in terms of any other things that differentiate Plus?
Yeah, I am not familiar with Plus. I assume that this is for a high volume.
Okay.
Because they're charging $2,000 a month. So I think this would be for very large businesses that need a lot of server space and probably want a lot of other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. They're sort of putting that into the enterprise space. So I imagine, I don't know the limits or anything like that, but I imagine if you're selling like thousands of products,
if you were Nordstrom Rack, you'd probably be Shopify Plus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. And a final question now, if I have to look at, I mean, there are so many different options that we have when it comes to e-commerce platform, right? And especially when you look at small business organizations, what would be the unique values for me to choose Shopify as compared to other platforms? Like, for example, is it good for value of money? What are the customer service? What are the features that Shopify gives as compared to other platforms?
Mo, do you have experience with Squarespace? Can you compare the two?
Yeah, I've done WordPress for many years, so I know that probably the most. Squarespace and Shopify, I know somewhat. In terms of the differences for each of them, they're sort of like unique and specific things. The one that jumps out to me most for Squarespace and Shopify, especially in 2020, because they made a lot of updates, both these players. So the biggest difference is Squarespace is going to have a lot more design-friendly things that you can do. So you can make it look nice and pretty and all that kind of stuff. Whereas it's going to have limited e-commerce type of options, which obviously they're both doing, sort of the opposite direction, so they can eventually meet in the middle. But Shopify has been doing e-commerce for many, many years, so they really know that they've got that down really well. Whereas their limitation is on the design side. So if you notice, they're like, for example, on the product page, you can necessarily put something easily. You have to do various other things, maybe even hire a developer to do that. So that's really the biggest difference between Shopify and Squarespace. But within those things, even there are a lot of other differences that that come up. Customer service wise, they're both pretty good from what I've heard. I haven't used them on a regular basis, so I can't attest to it myself personally, but I've heard they're pretty good in that sense. There are a lot of websites that sort of do a comparison between these types of platform. So I would say like look for, you know, something like Shopify versus Squarespace, or, you know, whatever else that you're looking for, and just look at some website that's reputable and has some detail in it, some, you know, meat in it, and that you can read through and see what the differences are, because it really comes down to specific things that you potentially will need or want some differences in.